This is the Views from the Shop podcast on YouTube. I'm Tim Miller, and today we are previewing Ohio State's matchup with Central Michigan. The Buckeyes are on fire right now. They're fresh off an Emerald Coast Classic championship in which they picked up wins over Alabama and Santa Clara. And before they begin Big Ten play on Sunday against Minnesota, they've got to take on a MAC school in Central Michigan. So, Central Michigan last season finished 10-21, 5-13 in the MAC. Somehow still finished above all other directional teams in Michigan in the MAC. So there's that. This season, they're sitting at 2-4. They were picked to finish last in the MAC, and it wasn't particularly close. No players got any preseason MAC honors, and right now they're sitting at 305 in KenPom. They're a few spots lower than other Ohio State opponents they've already played this year in Merrimack and Western Michigan. They've lost to Oklahoma by 30. The Sooners should be an NCAA tournament team this year, and lost to Florida State by 27, a team that probably won't sniff the NCAA tournament. And they've got wins over Siena, one of the worst teams in college basketball this season, and South Florida, an okay team. Don't tell Ohio State from 2009 that Siena is one of the worst teams in college basketball. Let's talk Central Michigan offensively. So, they sport an offensive rating of 97.5. They turn the ball over 20% of the time. They've got a 20% turnover rate. That's 8th percentile in college basketball, and a 52% true shooting percentage. So not great marks there offensively. They can score on the fast break and off second chance points, like many Ohio State opponents so far this season, and they're a good offensive rebounding team. They've got a 31% offensive rebounding percentage. That's above the median. 18% of their points are scored off second chance points. That it gets into very good realm so far this season. Pretty good shooting from the paint at 47%, and not bad from the mid-range as well, although they don't shoot a lot from the paint. And as a three-point shooting team, they're going to fire away. They're not going to hit much, though. They're 30% from beyond the arc this year, so not a great mark for Central Michigan. The Chippewas have got a couple of notable players headlined by Anthony Pritchard. He's going to be the guy offensively, averaging 15 points per game, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds per game. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but he is 40% from deep this season. He's undersized, but he's an elite, strong finisher at the rim, and he can dish out a few assists per game. Brian Taylor, another player who has been a regular producer for Central Michigan over his career. However, his scoring production is down this year. He uses his size well, 7 rebounds per game, 11 points per game. Turnovers are definitely a concern for him, but he will get out and score and transition. Now, defensively for Central Michigan, they've got a defensive rating of 112. Not good. However, where they are good is forcing turnovers. They force 7 steals per game. They've got a 10.5% steal percentage, which is above average as well. And they've also got a 9.4 block percentage. That gets you to a 20% Hakeem percentage. All solid numbers. They'll have the chance here to have some momentum plays, taking the ball away, providing more possessions offensively. But when it comes to shooting metrics, not very impressive. They give up a lot of points in the paint, 49% from the field, and they're horrible against mid-range shooters this year at 48% from the field. Anthony Pritchard leads the Chippewas in steals at 2.3 steals per game. 4.4% steal percentage is elite for sure. But overall, this is a team that's going to give up some buckets, and it's pretty high risk, high reward. They'll block some shots, they'll take some passes away, give themselves more possessions, but all in all, they give up pretty high percentage amount of shots. So keys for the game for Ohio State, they're going to have to take care of the ball because of that. The Chippewas have the ability to take the ball away. They need to protect the paint and drives. That's where Central Michigan likes to score the most. And give me one last trouncing. That's the last key to the game for Ohio State. In this one, they're going to go play Minnesota, then Miami, then Penn State, and UCLA. This is kind of the end to the first quarter-ish of the season where Ohio State gets to play a lot of bad teams. So they'll have the opportunity to do that here. They've taken care of Alabama. They've taken care of Santa Clara. They've taken care of the bad teams that they played in the past couple of weeks. Give me one last trouncing before we go on to Minnesota. Banger bets. Shall we? We're crushing it on banger bets this year. I've got 3 for you. Number 1, we're taking Ohio State minus 23.5 on the spread. That's at minus 110. Buckeyes are playing their best basketball right now. Central Michigan's ranked lower in KenPom than Merrimack and Western Michigan. Buckeyes handled them pretty easily. Central Michigan, like we said, lost to Oklahoma by 30 and Florida State by 27, and Ohio State has covered in 3 of 4 games. 2 player props were taken. Zed Key over 9.5 points. That's at minus 120. When we locked it in, he's covered in 4 straight games. Central Michigan allows 49% of shots from the paint to go in. And this was an automatic play if Zed Key's number was at 9.5 of odds, minus 140 or better. So we're taking that. Roddy Gale over 12.5 points is our third play at minus 125. He's covered in 3 of 4 games. He makes all his shots where Central Michigan is weak. He's 80% at the rim this year, 46% in the paint, and 55% from mid-range. We know he's likely to hit a triple as well. And Central Michigan's really bad from the mid-range, at the rim, in the paint. So we'll take Roddy Gale over 12.5 points in this one at minus 125. Looking forward to the game tonight. Make sure you're subscribed. It's free. It will never hurt you. It will only help you be a better fan of Ohio State basketball. Appreciate you watching. Go Bucks.